Coming up next on the Channel 4 News Nightcast, Iraq takes more Allied pounding through the air,
while President Bush reaffirms the U.S. commitment to drive Iraq from Kuwait.
Comedian Danny Thomas dies of a heart attack.
And answers to the most asked questions about L.A. law.
The Channel 4 News Nightcast is next.
This is tonight's official Florida Lottery Fantasy 5 drawing for February 6, 1991. Supervised by Ray Brown with Lottery Security and Mac Harper of KPMG, Pete Marwick. With tonight's randomly selected Fantasy 5 machine, here's Pam Helton. The drawing starts by mixing balls 1 through 39 in the machine. Fantasy 5 is won by matching 3, 4, or 5 numbers drawn tonight in any order on your Fantasy 5 ticket. Now, here are tonight's winning Fantasy 5 numbers. The first number is 13. The second number is 8. The third number is 12. The fourth number is 1. And the fifth number is 4. So tonight's Fantasy 5 numbers, 13, 8, 12, 1, and 4. Join us Friday for Fantasy 5 and Saturday for Lotto, with an estimated grand prize of $7 million to a single winner.
You're watching Channel 4, South Florida's 24-hour news source.
Good evening. This is a special edition of the Channel 4 News Nightcast, America at War.
Allied forces pound Baghdad round the clock. We're going to start with Steve Handelsman in Saudi Arabia.
Good morning. Before Allied troops can retake Kuwait, Allied airstrikes have to take their toll on Saddam Hussein's huge army. So once again overnight, coalition pilots went out hunting, and once again they found their job difficult.
This is not videotape of a so-called smart bomb attack. It's a high-tech look at the low-tech bombing method being used by most Allied warplanes. Here, a U.S. F-18 pilot attacks an Iraqi army complex. The bombs are widely scattered. Even the clunky A-10 Warthogs are going out now for night missions over Iraq, often to attack the Republican Guard. But all U.S. pilots are certain of is that they're keeping Saddam's best soldiers awake.
You just provide a constant pounding on them in the nighttime, and it just keeps the enemy disrupted all 24 hours a day instead of giving them a break at night.
As far as Republican Guards, we're taking care of them well. We're hitting a multitude of different arrays, and I think we're doing quite well.
But knowing for sure is another matter. Here, an A-10 pilot comes across a column of Iraqi tanks in the open at night and sends a smart bomb into one. The rest scramble for cover and will go into deep trenches where Allied pilots cannot see them.
They are very well dug in. We've caught a bunch of their equipment in the open, and we've destroyed some of the equipment. I can't venture to say how many of their troops we've killed.
No question, much of Iraq's weapons production is knocked out. U.S. commanders say this plant made rocket motors. But the Republican Guard and other frontline fighting units are another matter.
We have eliminated some of his capability. I wish I could tell you that we had eliminated most of it, but quite honestly, I don't really know.
There's a paradox. Allied pilots can't get at much of the Republican Guard until Saddam's elite soldiers come up out of their bunkers. But the Iraqis aren't likely to do that until after an Allied attack. This is Steve Handelsman reporting live from northeastern Saudi Arabia. Back to you.
Thanks, Steve. President Bush says today's actions show his policy is right on track in the Gulf War. Speaking to the Economic Club of New York City, the president said by standing up to Hussein's aggression, we are guaranteeing future stability in the region.
Tonight we are on course and we are on schedule. Mission by mission, hour by hour, Iraq's capacity to wage war is being systematically destroyed by American and coalition forces.
Tonight's speech conducted under heavy security, an estimated 1,000 protesters outside the hall calling for an end to the war. Tonight's Secretary of State Baker is giving a different view of the Gulf War effort than that of the president. Baker is warning that tough times lie ahead. Briefing the House Foreign Affairs Committee in Washington, Baker said we should expect many casualties and great hardships. The reason, he says, Iraq's military is tough.
Two different shows of support for our troops here in South Florida. One newly legal, the other above the law. Dade County Manager Joaquin Avignon says it's now okay for employees to wear yellow ribbons on the job. At the government center, they already adorn the hallways. Avignon says the ribbon should not be interpreted as a political statement by the county. 3 men taking their political statement to great heights. Literally, they climbed a broadcast tower in Pembroke Park, hanging an American flag, then 2 yellow banners as a show of support for our troops. The trio arrested and charged with trespassing and obstructing justice when they came down.
U.S. foreign policy rarely comes under such intense scrutiny as it does during war. For weeks, we've been almost pummeled with layer upon layer of instant news. Add analysis, and it's bound to influence the way you feel about Operation Desert Storm. Tonight, the media's ability to shape public opinion, from the front lines to the headlines.
Both sides in the war claim to have captured more prisoners today.
Again tonight was the first land battle fought in the Persian Gulf War. A psychological lift as far as Saddam Hussein is concerned.
A barrage of information electronically relayed to you at home. Does that make television just the messenger or a tool capable of swaying public opinion?
The media is there not to shape public opinion, but to present the truth. If the government tells us the truth and we present the truth, then the American public makes up their mind which way they want to go.
You're just the messenger.
That's right. We're the messengers.
If there are 2 stories to be done on the Pentagon, we'll divide it up between Katie and Fred. But
each day, the news messengers make judgment calls, deciding which stories are important, what angle to take. The end result is a broad landscape of information that may ultimately impact your view of the world.
Television has the power to manipulate people in every case, not only in the case of war.
I've been really appalled at the coverage and the fact that they're censored and not able to interview the soldiers, many of whom we know would really much rather be coming home. During Vietnam, the information that electronically came home packed an emotional punch. It has yet to in the Persian Gulf. But what happens when the body bags start coming home, when the casualties mount, when you see pictures of grieving widows and caskets on the evening news? What kind of impact does television then have on how the American public views this war?
Those casualties start to go up, no matter what we say. As long as we just report the fact of those casualties, public support's going to go down.
Certainly the sight of dead and wounded young Americans will have an enormous impact, and the country has to be steeled for that.
Even with few casualties, the war's already impacting public opinion. Like a scene from the 60s, anti-war demonstrators are camped out near the White House, hoping President Bush and the media will pay more attention to their point of view.
I think that people want to believe that almost everybody supports the war, and therefore it's not patriotic to work for peace.
Do you think the real story's not being told?
Of course. Of course I believe the real story isn't being told. If people knew the real story, we'd have mass pandemonium out here.
The human side of the war we have not seen. It's a Nintendo game so far.
War is not pretty. It's disturbing. It's ugly. That's the reality of war. Although I'm not sure that people are willing to hear that yet. They don't want to hear that yet. I think it's too frightening.
The military is also shielding you from frightening images. Today, there was a battle between U.S. and Iraqi forces. The media was kept away. Instead, they were given a tour by military escorts of a shiny new mess hall, hundreds of miles from the fighting. NBC will have a wrap-up of today's events in the Gulf immediately following the Nightcast. Tom?
In other news, the sister of a high-ranking police officer is dead tonight, found floating in Biscayne Bay. She was found this afternoon, bound and gagged. Police tonight believe she was murdered, but have little else to go on.
We have identified the female as Bridget Gibbs. She is, I believe, 22 years of age. Our homicide detectives are still working on a preliminary investigation. They're here at headquarters talking to people at the scene. And other than that, we don't have much else to go on.
Bridget Gibbs was the sister of Miami Police Major Arnold Gibbs. Tonight, Miami police have no comment on the case. The investigation of a double murder in Pembroke Park heading deep into the night. The bullet-riddled bodies of a man and a woman found along Pembroke Park Road. Police not finding much more evidence at the scene, and they don't have a motive or suspect in the double homicide. The murder trial of 2 men accused of killing a Metro-Dade police officer set to go to trial tomorrow. Actually, to the jury tomorrow. Lawyers from Michael Griffin and Samuel Velez arrested their case today, as did the prosecution. They're accused of gunning down Officer Joseph Martin last year.
A Miramar grandmother charged with a felony for selling a Playboy magazine to 2 minors. Elaine Ott, a clerk at the Mr. Grocer convenience store, was arrested, strip-searched, and thrown in jail. She's since been released on bond, while the state attorney's office will decide if she should be prosecuted. Ott says she doesn't know why it's legal to sell condoms to teens, but not Playboy. Day 2 on the stand for the woman who says she lost psychic powers when a bunch of boards fell on her head at a Home Depot store. Penny Polito says she had hoped doctors could study her to find the source of her alleged ability to block out pain. But she says after the wood fell on her, her powers have gone.
The world has lost one of its great entertainers. Daddy Thomas suffered a heart attack this morning and died. He was 79. He is probably best known for his starring role in the 50s sitcom Make Room for Daddy and his founding of St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
I have a feeling right now that he's up there in heaven there with St. Jude as an assistant, a St. Jude's assistant, helping the unfortunate children that he has been catering to all these years.
Today, fans marked his passing with a wreath at his star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood. Thomas was in South Florida just last week on a book promotion tour. The heavies from the entertainment and political worlds gathering tonight in Beverly Hills. Former President Ronald Reagan's 80th birthday party. Among the 600 invited guests, Tom Selleck, as you see right there, former Secretary of State James Schultz, and we had Charlton Heston on hand as well.
That's George Schultz.
Yes, George.
Coming up next on the Channel 4 News Nightcast. The tradition continues, but in a low-key way. The Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue is finally out.
And did you ever wonder what kind of car the LA Law license tag was on? Well, I have. These secrets and more revealed later in the broadcast. But first, let's check in with Brian at the Storm Center.
Okay, Tom, did you ever wonder what kind of weekend we're going to have? Well, I have, and it's going to be cool and sunny and a little bit different. How about that, Tony?
So much for the wondering. Florida schools clean up on National Signing Day in college football. The Heat back in action at New Jersey. And how does one player outscore the entire opposition in the first half of the Hurricane game? We'll tell you just ahead in sports as the Nightcast continues.
Change is coming, it's understood, happening all over my neighborhood. Now that you deliver, gonna do it, I should. I'm gonna make a change for good.
Call Pizza Hut Delivery right now for the new Pepperoni Supreme. Tons of pepperoni, mushrooms, onions, and green peppers. Get a medium Pepperoni Supreme for just $6.99.
I'm gonna make a change for good. Pizza Hut Delivery, making it great.
Call Pizza Hut Delivery to get a mini hoop set with your order. Just $1.49.
Good health has a good name called Land O'Lakes. Spread the sweet cream. Lowering fat and cholesterol free. Good health has a good taste called Land O'Lakes. Spread the sweet cream. Just one taste and you know what we mean. Good health, yeah. Good taste, well, good name. Land O'Lakes. Spread the sweet cream.
Coming up later on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. Settle down. Johnny welcomes Dan Aykroyd, who reveals a deep, dark secret.
You really considered one time being a priest?
I did, yeah. 10 minutes.
Plus, saxophonist Maceo Parker. Then on Late Night with David Letterman, Dave welcomes Bronson Pinchot.
Do you know that a lot of people are terrified of you?
Well, and that's the way it ought to be.
Plus, a lady attacked by giant bugs.
You have one crawling up here on your head.
It's all coming up later tonight.
When it was introduced in 1986, it became a legend in its own time. Now, for 1991, there's a totally new Acura Legend. It's faster than a BMW 735, bigger than a Mercedes 300, about $10,000 less than a Lexus. It's the only import with a passenger side airbag. And with a new 200 horsepower engine, it's become a legend in even better time.
This is a long way from downtown Chicago. Riding mass transit, working late every night. You finally got the raise that got you the gold card, that got you the phone number, that arranges your weekends wherever you want them. But you always want them in Montana. The Gold Card, only from American Express. Don't leave home without it.
Listen to Tony Sports Updates every weekday morning on Magic 102.7.
From your 24-hour news source, Channel 4 News continues.
The Budget Axe is about to fall across the Sunshine State. Governor Childs tonight preparing to cut some 6,000 jobs out of his state government. His proposal due out Monday and will help close a $1 billion shortfall. Ironically, this comes as Childs created some new jobs in his office and handed out big raises to top aides.
Well, Tony Segreto is in our Fort Lauderdale newsroom. He's going to be there all week because there's some big doings up there in Fort Lauderdale, in Broward this week, I should say.
Real big doings. You know, we have the Farmore LPGA Classic that gets underway Friday in Inverary. They're tuning up all this week. We had great soccer tonight at Lockhart Stadium, which is right across the street here from the Bureau. We love it up here in Broward. But we're going to start with Miami Heat basketball tonight. You know, they played their last game before the All-Star break. And boy, did they make it count in a big way. At New Jersey, Miami gets off to a great start. Watch Sherman Douglas with the alley-oop to Billy T. Miami makes 7 of its first 9 shots. Douglas will score 2 of his 30 points here on the break. Grant Long's jumper gives the Heat a 36-34 lead after 1. Jersey coach Bill Fitch just couldn't bear to look at it. Don't blame you here. Jersey comes back to tie it, though, behind the inside scoring of Derek Coleman. He had 29 points. Second half, it belonged to Miami. Glenn Rice with the running shot here. He gets the foul, the three-pointer. He also had 30, Miami by 12. And the tall one, Allen Ogg, gets the alley-oop. Miami, with a team record scoring total, beats Jersey 134-119. Elsewhere, Boston big over Charlotte. Larry Bird is back. He had 18. Philadelphia 108, Washington 100. Houston over Milwaukee. And at the half, Phoenix leads Utah 50-45. University of Miami basketball team on a roll. Joe Wiley outscoring the entire St. Joseph's team in the first half at the arena tonight. He had 19, and the Canes led 44-18. Wiley had 28 on the night. Watch this baseline move by Jerome Scott. This turned into a rare laugher for the Canes. Yeah, nice dance in there. Miami winning its 3rd straight, 87-64. Signing day in college football, an exciting day for fans, a nervous day for coaches, and a relief for high school recruits who began signing letters of intent. The Hurricanes signed 20, including North Miami's highly ranked defensive back Lawrence Wright, who wanted to stick close to his family, and he liked the family atmosphere at Miami. Wright was among the more notable signings. The Canes getting 12 players from Florida, including highly ranked quarterback Alan Hall of Middleburg. They went big on defensive linemen, I do mean big. Edison Sheon Tresvant among them. Impressive running back James Stewart from Vero Beach. Dennis Erickson just loves him. And more beef, including the big one they were waiting to get all day. Pat Riley, a 6'6", 255-pound defensive end from Louisiana, considered the best at his position in the nation. Erickson was pleased.
Overall, the class, without getting into a lot of names, is a very, very strong class, and a class that will rank with one of the better recruiting classes at the University of Miami.
Erickson wasn't the only happy head coach today. FSU and Florida both doing well. Gator Steve Spurrier compared his first recruiting class.
Extremely happy with the group we have coming. I can assure you this, I wouldn't trade our group coming in for any of the groups that Florida State, Miami, or any other school have.
Florida State had a banner day, getting Dade's top player, Lake's defensive back Devin Bush, and Winter Park running back Marquette Smith, considered the top prospect in the country.
We think that this is probably one of the best class of players that we've had at Florida State from top to bottom.
Well, excuse me, I had a phone call here, and we'll continue here. Will New England Patriots owner Victor Kiam ever learn? This guy's a beaut, folks. He's had to apologize to Boston Herald sports writer Lisa Olson again, this time for telling an off-color joke concerning her and the Gulf War. And he did this at a banquet. Well, just down the block from here, we found a Sports Illustrated that hit the stands today. Yeah, you know, they're going to try and low-key this, folks. I'm trying to figure out why, because believe me, our boys in the Middle East can't wait to get their hands on this magazine. And I got my hands on mine, and I'm going to take it home and read it tonight.
Okay, Tony, you can go back to your phone call now. Up next on the Channel 4 News Nightcast, questions for the court. We will have answers for everything you ever wanted to know about L.A. law.
But first, the burning question, what are the winning cash 3 numbers? They are 3, 6, 0. And tonight's Fantasy 5 numbers, 13, 8, 12, 1, and 4. Good luck.
Right now, you can get Sizzler's all-you-can-eat triple shrimp combo. Crunchy golden fried shrimp, tangy shrimp cocktail, and savory Cajun shrimp.
Can I have more of just the fried shrimp?
Yes.
Can I have more shrimp cocktail?
Sure.
Just Cajun shrimp?
Yeah.
Good. I'll take all three.
The all-you-can-eat triple shrimp combo. As much as you want of what you want. For a limited time only at Sizzler.
JCPenney February furniture sale. Save 25 to 30% on all furniture, $60 to $400 on all bedding. The Home Show now at JCPenney.
We do it with all our friends.
And our neighbors.
We do it together.
Most of the time.
We do it on the terrace.
Don't say that.
We do it.
And enjoy it.
We do it 7 days a week.
8.
Lenar's Imperial Point at Sunrise Lakes is such a great place to live. The homeowners have a do-it club. What they do is recommend friends to own an apartment, and you can do it from the 60s. Imperial Point at Sunrise Lakes.
We're newlyweds.
So we keep doing it.
After reviewing the broad spectrum of leading economic indicators, it appears we have a financial softening in a variety of sectors.
The economy stinks.
Even market leaders have been impacted.
Honda dealers are loaded with Accords.
Ergo, we are encouraging minimization of margins.
They're selling the Accord EX for as little as 5% over cost.
And are pressuring a downward spiral in the discount rate.
And are offering 7.9% APR financing.
This aberration will be short-lived.
Hurry.
What a feeling, feeling fresh.
Introducing Fix-It-Ant Fresh with a crisp, clean feeling and a stronger hold than any other cream adhesive. A fresh new feeling and stronger hold are 2 new reasons to Fix-It-Ant and forget it.
When you're all stuffed up and use an ordinary nasal spray, it drips into your tissue where it can't help you breathe. But not Sinex Ultrafine Mist. Its medicine stays where you need it, so you can breathe the way you want to. We don't drip down, we clear up.
There's more to a diet than weight loss. The best diets encourage a commitment to healthy eating and regular exercise. If you're confused about what foods make up a low-fat, low-cholesterol, low-sodium diet, get a copy of the Miami Heart Institute Diet for a Lifetime. The diet follows the guidelines of the American Heart Association, the National Cholesterol Education Program, and the American Cancer Society. You'll lose weight, and your heart will thank you.
Pick up your free copy of the diet at any public supermarkets.
Jamaica.
Channel 4 weather is brought to you in part by the Jamaica Tourist Board.
From your 24-hour news source, Channel 4 News continues.
A huge Soviet satellite is falling to Earth. The 40-ton Soviet space station is expected to hit Earth sometime between now and 4 a.m. The odds of debris hitting populated areas estimated to be 1 in 100,000.
Better odds than winning the lottery. Well, speaking of odds, if you're betting that you won't get wet sometime this week, Brian Norcross is standing by to tell you, don't place too much money on that one.
I'm just keeping an eye on the sky until that thing comes down. Well, you have a cold front coming, and yes, there are showers in it. You can see it moving very slowly, but it's now down to just north of the Tampa area, at least the rain with it is. The cold front's actually still up in the Panhandle. We're under generally clear skies down here, and it's going to be a beautiful night out there tonight. On the radar out of Tampa, you can clearly see the line of showers from up by Gainesville on out in the Gulf, moving very slowly down, but I'll show you in just a second on the national satellite picture what's going to kick it on through, and definitely the cool air coming in here, and you'll notice it here by late in the day tomorrow and on Friday. Okay, let's check outside Channel 4 here tonight. It's a mild night, 72. The humidity a very comfortable 56%. Winds out of the southeast at 2 and no rain here. Around town, temperatures kind of a variety. It depends on how close to the coast you are. 72 on the beach, the warm spot. The cool spot out in West Kendall at 65. Okay, on the record today, we hit 79 at the airport, 87 the record high back in 85, and 75 the normal high. Here is the Middle East satellite picture, just to check on that for you. You see Iraq mostly clear, some clouds in northern Saudi Arabia here just north of Dhahran, but the news is that it is still quite windy over there. As a matter of fact, unseasonably windy, and looks like that condition will continue for the next couple days. Here's the big sat, and you can see here the storm system in the middle of the country, and watch it crank up right in here. See the swirl there? and it's pushing lots of moisture up where it has been incredibly warm, and now it's just terrible weather in the northeast. And here comes the front pushing on in here. Another front up here is finally going to come along and kick the whole thing through, and that's where the cool air is going to come from. Temperatures today look like this. Here's the real cool air up here, 30s and 40s. The south has 50s and 60s, generally 70s and a few low 80s. Here in Florida, some of your favorite cities around the country look like 52 in New York. They were 70 there yesterday, and it's rainy and drizzly up that way. Same story up at Boston. Then we get down to nice mild air all across the south, and then it kind of cools off out in the west. Actually, in general, fairly warm for wintertime. Major fog here up around Chicago, so watch if you're traveling up there tomorrow. And here comes the front. Now, what's going to happen tomorrow? It's going to end up pushing into South Florida, and by late tomorrow, I think we'll see some showers around here. So here's the forecast now for the boaters. Looks like this. Winds south to southwest. That's a warm direction for us. Seas 1 to 2 feet. Bay water smooth. And a surf temperature at 75. Now, tonight looks like a beautiful night. Let's call it comfortably cool. A low temperature about 60 inland, 68 at the beach. Tomorrow, quite warm. Later in the day, some rain's moving in with that front, 83. And your 4 more days. Look at the temperatures. The front comes through on Friday, and then cool and sunny over the weekend. That's it. See you tomorrow. Now, here's Tom.
All right, thanks, Brian. Well, many of you watched tonight's NBC special on the 100th episode of L.A. Law. We found the show has created a whole new appetite for little-known facts about L.A. law. To satisfy that appetite and your curiosity, reporter David Sheehan went straight to L.A. Law's executive producer for some answers.
So the first big question is about the opening title sequence, that license plate. What kind of car is that on?
That's on a Chevy.
You're kidding.
Yes, I'm kidding. That's on a Jaguar.
A Jaguar?
Jaguar.
Who was the only pro football coach to ever appear on L.A. Law?
That would be my personal favorite football coach.
Your personal favorite?
Personal favorite. That would be Mike Ditka.
Who was the pistol-packing lawyer who killed the man?
That was Abby Perkins.
What was Arnie Becker's response when he first learned of the death of one of the senior partners?
That was in the pilot episode, and I think he was moved to the point that he said,
I got dibs on his office.
Is the building in the opening titles actually a building in L.A.?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It was the old Wells Fargo building. It's now the 444 building.
Who was the lawyer that got blown off his throne when he lit up a cigar in the restroom?
That was Douglas Brackman.
Hey, Dougie, don't...
Did he live through it?
Well, he still wears a pillow when he sits, but he's okay.
Now, what exactly is the Venus butterfly, and who were the practitioners?
Ann Kelsey and Stuart Markowitz.
Have you been seeing another woman?
No, of course not.
Then where the hell did you learn that?
You mean the Venus butterfly?
And what exactly is it?
I couldn't say.
You're not telling?
My wife won't let me.
Uh-huh. Oh, you invented it, you and your wife.
Well, no, we've tried it.
Does it work?
Regularly.
David Sheehan, News 4.
Well, before we go tonight, we have an update on that Soviet space satellite. It has re-entered Earth's atmosphere. It has broken up over South America, and there are no injuries from falling debris, and that's good news.
And let's hope there are none.
Yes.
All right. That does it for now. Thanks for joining us.
5-minute NBC special report is next, followed by The Tonight Show in its entirety. We will see you tomorrow.
Good night.